Welcome to Robinson's Shadow Stories, where mysteries unfold and dark tales come to light. Dive into the enigmatic world of true crime with our meticulously researched stories, chilling reconstructions, and in-depth investigations. From unsolved mysteries to infamous cases, join us as we navigate the labyrinth of crime, uncovering the secrets that linger in the shadows. Brace yourself for a riveting journey through the minds of our most famous serial killers, and cautionary stories about couples who become obsessed in their relationships that one of them is willing to commit a terrible crime in the name of love. The twists that keep you on the edge of your seat. Subscribe now and become a part of our community of armchair detectives, because the truth is always stranger than fiction. This journey isn't solitary, it's a collective exploration. I want to hear your thoughts, theories, and suggestions. Drop your comments below, share your insights, and let's form a community that dives headfirst into the shadows. Together, we'll navigate the complexities of these stories, one shadow at a time. So let's dive in. Our first shadow story will be about one of the most notorious serial killers known to man, Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer, also known as the Milwaukee Cannibal or the Milwaukee Monster, was an American serial killer and sex offender. Born on May 21, 1960 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, he gained notoriety for his heinous crimes, which involved the rape, murder, dismemberment, and necrophilia of at least 17 young men between 1978 and 1991. Dahmer exhibited disturbing behavior from a young age. He showed an early fascination with animals, and reportedly engaged in cruelty toward them. His crimes escalated when he became an adult. By most accounts, Dahmer had a normal childhood. However, he became withdrawn and uncommunicative as he got older. He began showing little to no interest in hobbies or social interaction as he entered adolescence, turning instead to examining animal carcasses and heavy drinking for entertainment. His drinking continued throughout high school but did not stop him from graduating in 1978. It was just 3 weeks later that the 18-year-old committed his first murder, killing Stephen Hicks, later admitting to killing him simply because he wanted Hicks to stay. 9 years would pass before he would do the unthinkable again. Dahmer's modus operandi typically involved luring young men to his apartment with the promise of money or alcohol. Once there, he would drug them before engaging in acts of violence. After killing his victims, Dahmer would often dismember their bodies and keep gruesome trophies as souvenirs. In some cases, he attempted to create a zombie by injecting acid or boiling water into the brains of his still-living victims, in an attempt to make them submissive. Stephen Tuomi was his second victim, killed in September of 1987. He later stated that he had no memory of actually murdering Tuomi, implying that he had committed the crime on some sort of blacked-out impulse. Dahmer had 2 victims in 1988, 1 in 1989, and 4 in 1990. During this period, Dahmer was arrested for an incident at his job at the Ambrosia Chocolate Factory, where he drugged and sexually fondled a 13-year-old boy. For this, he was given a sentence of 5 years probation, 1 year at a work release camp, and was required to register as a sex offender. He was released 2 months early from the work program and subsequently moved into a Milwaukee apartment in May of 1990. There, despite regular appointments with his probation officer, he would remain free to commit 4 murders that year and 8 more in 1991. Dahmer began killing around 1 person each week by the summer of 1991. He became infatuated. He used many different techniques, such as drilling holes into their skull and injecting hydrochloric acid or boiling water into their brains. Soon, neighbors began to complain about strange noises and awful smells coming from Dahmer's apartment. Officers failed to run a background check that would have revealed Dahmer's sex offender status, allowing him to narrowly escape his fate for a little while longer. On July 22, 1991, Dahmer lured Tracy Edwards into his home with the promise of cash in exchange for his company. While inside, Edwards was then forced into the bedroom by Dahmer with a butcher knife. During the struggle, Edwards was able to get free and escape out into the streets, where he flagged down a police car. Edwards alerted them to the knife that was in the bedroom. Upon entering the bedroom, the officers found the pictures of dead bodies and dismembered limbs that allowed them to finally place Dahmer under arrest. Further investigation of the home led them to find a severed head in the refrigerator, 3 more severed heads throughout the apartment, multiple photographs of the victims, and more human remains in his refrigerator. A total of 7 skulls were found in his apartment, as well as a human heart in the freezer. An altar was also constructed with candles and human skulls in his closet. After being taken into custody, Dahmer confessed, and began divulging the gruesome details of his crimes to the authorities. Dahmer was indicted on 15 murder charges, and the trial began on January 30, 1992. Even though the evidence against him was overwhelming, Dahmer pled insanity as his defense due to the nature of his incredibly disturbing and uncontrollable impulses. Following 2 weeks of trial, the court declared him sane and guilty on 15 counts of murder. He was sentenced to 15 life terms, for a total of 957 years in prison. In May of the same year, he entered a guilty plea for the murder of his first victim, Stephen Hicks, and received an additional life sentence. Dahmer served his time at the Columbia Correctional Institution in Portage, Wisconsin. During his time in prison, Dahmer expressed remorse for his actions and wished for his own death. He also read the Bible and declared himself a born-again Christian, ready for his final judgment. Dahmer was later attacked on November 28, 1994 by an inmate as they cleaned one of the prison showers. Dahmer was found still alive, but died on the way to the hospital from severe head trauma.